Okay, hi. Thank you for attending my capstone presentation. My name is Joe Lucero. The subject for my capstone proposal presentation is college students and internships. Let's see here. So overview of the creator. Again, my name is Joe Lucero. Um, I'm a transfer student. I came from LCC. I got my associate arts degree in liberal arts in 2012. So it's been a little bit. As far as high school, that was a very long time ago, but I went to Baldwin High School on Maui. I was born here in Oahu, raised mostly on Maui. My program of studies creative media, and my concentration is general creative media. My particular passion is for video creation and video editing. So moving on to my executive summary, the plans for my senior capstone project, I'm going to be completing an internship and producing a weekly podcast documenting my experiences. So my thesis statement, while there are many paths to follow, so sorry, let me move okay. While there are many paths to follow, college internships are a valuable tool for students seeking employment after graduation. For returning adults with years of experience in the workforce, seeking a college internship remains an advantageous option for those looking to switch careers. So for the objective or rationale of my research, I'm going to be investigating the pros and cons of internships for college students and how that applies to returning students. And I'll expand on that a little bit more. So to address the significance of my proposed research, there aren't many resources geared towards older students who return to college with the intent to switch careers. My hope is to investigate the value of internships with regards to that goal, as well as to leave behind an example for future returning students with similar goals. To give you an idea how I sort of landed on that subject, as I mentioned, I received my associate's degree in 2012. That led me to enter the workforce and move between jobs, and eventually led me to the administrative side of the healthcare field. I was laid off early last year, and I immediately started looking for work, and I sort of realized that there weren't a lot of options for me based on my education level, and I felt like I was sort of being pigeonholed into the same sort of type of work. And that sort of eventually led me to come back to school, because I realized in retrospect that what I was doing for work was very unsatisfying for me. It was actually kind of a source of unhappiness of my life. And so that led me back to school. And I sort of found out that there really aren't a lot of resources geared specifically towards people in my situation. So to repeat my thesis statement, while there are many paths to follow, college internships are a valuable tool for students seeking employment after graduation. And for returning adults with years of experience in the workforce, seeking a college internship remains an advantageous option for those looking to switch careers. So a little more in the objective of my research, studies indicate that the number of students returning to school after a break in post-secondary education has increased over the last decade, and is expected to continue along that trajectory. As an older returning student myself with a desire to switch careers, I'm finding there are little resources available that are geared specifically towards students in my situation. So the purpose of the research is to assess the value in college internships and how that applies to the circumstances and goals of older returning students, as well as to hopefully provide a resource for any future returning students. So again, my capstone plans, I intend to complete an internship with the spring semester and log my experience through a weekly podcast, with the hopes of leaving behind an example or a guidebook for returning students with similar goals who are considering an internship themselves. As far as the significance, take a look here. So as society transitions to a post-COVID world, many people are returning to college in pursuit of broader employment opportunities. Traditional students often use internships to increase their chances at employment via the experience, networking, and practical application of skills that they provide. Returning students, however, face an additional set of challenges and biases, both in and outside the classroom, when returning to school with the goal of switching careers. So future implications: as older students become more prevalent, there will be an increased need for resources and guidance aimed at non-traditional returning students to help address those challenges. To expand a little more on the significance, these challenges and biases have the potential to affect the desirability and efficacy of internships when a returning student is seeking to enter a new field of work. So through further examination of the pros and cons of internships from the perspective of an older returning student like myself, I hope to provide a clearer picture of the value for both myself and any future potential returning students. Future implications: the chronicling of my experience should ideally serve as a guide or example for future returning students with similar goals who are weighing their options for their own capstone project or practicum. So to include a little bit of data here, I wanted to look first at a study done by CLASP, or the Center for Law and Social Policy, study done in 2012. They determined that 40%, or 4 in 10 undergraduate students at that time, were 25 years or older, which was a 4% increase from 2008. they projected at that time that over the next 10 years, so 2012 to 2022, that non-traditionally aged student enrollment in college was projected to grow more than twice as fast as traditionally aged students. For traditionally aged students, they expected enrollment to continue increase by 8.7%, whereas older students, 21.7% were increase was expected. I also wanted to include another data point by the NACE Foundation, the National Association of Colleges and Employers. They determined that 92% of employers reported having a formal internship program, with more than 70% of those internship programs being focused on converting students into full-time entry-level employees. And more than 56% of those students completing an internship or co-op received at least one job offer, compared to less than 37% of students with no internship or co-op experience. So these two data points hopefully support the fact that more older students are going to be enrolling in college. Therefore, there should be increased need for resources aimed at those students. And as for the second data points, they support the fact that internships generally are beneficial for students hoping to switch careers, and that there is sort of an established value there that could apply to returning students. A couple more data points. An article in Education Economics called College Internships, Tenure Gaps, and Student Outcomes. What we're looking at here is part of a table that indicates that internship participants were 2 percentage points more likely to have changed their desired career over the course of their college tenure. However, those with a tenure gap were actually more than twice as likely to change careers, and 4.6% more likely to have changed their careers during college tenure. So that should hopefully kind of assist to illustrate that older students are more likely to be, desiring to switch careers when they come back to college. And then another data point, the senior discount biases against older career changers from the Journal of Applied Psychology. This table indicates that when experience is not salient, or when there's no applicable work experience, older job applicants are less likely to be hired than younger job applicants, not only when it's a between career change, but also within career transitions. And that kind of supports the fact that there are difficulties that are unique to older returning students they have to navigate, and should also sort of demonstrate another demand, or further demand, or an increased demand for resources aimed at older students. So the target audience, again, the primary target audience are older students who have returned to school with the goal of changing their field of work, older students hoping to switch careers, returning students who are considering an internship, and people who are considering a return to school in general. So the proposed solution then is to provide a starting point for future returning students who share the goal of switching careers. My podcast should hopefully serve as a guidebook for the experience a returning student should expect when they consider their own internship. As for the preparation process, the pre-production phase, I'm going to secure an internship in my desired field, complete the format, design, and production schedule of the podcast, and then start a little blog or site to sort of host the podcast. For the production phase, I'm going to participate in the internship while logging my thoughts and experiences, and record weekly episodes and a little post or sort of blog to kind of describe the episode and let people know what to expect. And in the post-production, complete the internship in weekly episodes, and then record a final episode or blog with my thoughts and conclusions regarding the efficacy and value of internships for returning students. Example of the deliverable, I have a sort of mock-up here of what it might look like to look at the main landing page with a few episodes, and an example of what my little sort of blurb or blog entry might look like. And then another little mock-up I made of what it might look like to actually view or listen to the podcast in the web player. And I believe that's all I have for now. So thank you so much for attending my presentation, and I would love to answer any questions you might have.